Hello YouTube, it is Shawnee May again, coming at you from around the way. And today I'm coming at you with a story time. This story time, you know, it's a relatable story time to a lot of women. It's, you know, not one of the funny story times. It's actually a story time, like kind of a sad one, you know, but a happy one, but a sad one type of thing. And you know, it's about, you know, my first miscarriage. And you know, if you have ever been through a miscarriage and like experienced it, then you know exactly how it feels and how I felt. So here we go. Back in 2007, you know, I met my first, like, love in a way, like my first serious relationship, like real serious relationship. Like, I'm talking about serious, like we moved in together type of serious relationship. You know, we were under one roof. So I met him. I've known him since high school, to be exact. 2006 I first saw him, or 2005 I first saw him, you know, but we didn't start dating and talking until after we graduated high school in 2007. And we dated literally for like 7 years, 6.5 years. It was a pretty long relationship. But anyway, 2008 is when I moved into my second apartment. I moved out when I was 18. So in 2009, I moved into my second apartment. And, you know, he moved in. So, you know, of course, we were young and not really caring about wearing protection. And I encourage people to, you know, wear protection no matter if you're younger or older. If you're not ready to have a baby, if you're not ready for what comes with having sex, if someone is not clean, you know, and don't get checked up and all that other stuff, if you're not ready for none of that, wear protection. You know, I'm not saying I was ready for that, but I was just oblivious to it because I loved him. So it was like, you know, whatever. Like, we just didn't wear protection. So yeah, after, I want to say, 2 years of dating. It took 2 years for me to become pregnant. And truth be told, I was on birth control. I know that's a typical story. I was on birth control and it didn't work. Yeah, I was on birth control. I was on Depo, but I got off Depo maybe a month before. No. It wasn't a month. I had been on Depo for a long time, and he knew. I've been on Depo for a very long time, and it took 2 years. Matter of fact, I was off Depo for 2 years, and mind you, me and this, you know, my ex, we was, you know, having intercourse without protection for that long before I actually, you know, became pregnant. So it took 2 years for me to become pregnant, but in that meantime, I felt like maybe I can have kids. You know, it was a thought, like, no pulling out, you know, he ain't doing none of that, like, maybe I can't have kids, you know, and that actually crossed my mind. And so that was kind of worrisome, because more than anything, later on in life, I wanted to become a mother. Like, I wanted to be a mother. Like, I wanted to have children. I want to have a basketball team full of children, you know. So, you know, it did kind of scare me, but I kind of blew it off. I'm like, hey, I'm still young, you know, all this other stuff. So yeah, time went on, didn't get pregnant. And then one fateful day, 2009, first of all, people at work was telling me, Shatora, you getting wide, Shatora, what's going on with you? You pregnant? I'm like, girl, I ain't pregnant, stop it, I ain't pregnant, you know, I can't get pregnant. So it was a thought in my mind, and I kept thinking about it, I'm like, you know, I'm going to take a pregnancy test. And, oh, I forgot to add, I did not have a cycle. The whole time in those 2 years of me being off Depo. That shit was still in my system, and Depo fucks you up. I'm not discouraging anyone who wants to go that route, but for me, it has some bad side effects on me. And I've heard from many other women too. Depo is just, It put that weight on you, but it is no good, child. So, yeah, I didn't have my cycle, but anyway, it was the thought in my head. I was like, let me just check, so I went to the, Walgreens to be exact. I went to Walgreens, and I got the pregnancy test, and I just stared at the pregnancy test in the bathroom like for a very long time. Before I even took it, I just was like, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, if I am, I'll be happy. I mean, I'm out of my mom's house. I have my own place, own car. Got a full-time job, benefits, everything, making money. And at the time, so did he. And so it really wasn't a thought of, oh my God, it wasn't no panic mode if I was pregnant. So I finally opened the test, and did what I did what it did, peed on the test, and just waited. I just was like, oh my gosh, I hope I'm not. And then again, it was like, if I am, I wouldn't be worried about it. And this is somebody that I felt like I would be with for the rest of my life. Oh my gosh, I was so in love with him, and he knows that. So, so that was that. And I waited, and then I peeked over the counter, and I was like, and then I saw 2 lines. I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Like, I just paced it around the bathroom. Oh my God. Oh my God. And all those, nonchalant feelings, like, oh, I ain't worried about it. I ain't gonna panic, this and that. If I am, I am. I started panicking more so because I didn't know how his reaction was going to be. So, I finally gained up enough courage to, call him. He was at work at the time, and I called him, and, and I told him, and he was like, what? I was like, I'm pregnant, and, it wasn't a reaction, like, I guess he was more shocked than anything, and he couldn't do nothing because he was at work. But I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, we'll talk when I get home. So, that was that. So when he got home, he hugged me, and we talked about it. And, everything was gravy, all cool and gravy. Until one day, I was kind of achy. I was aching. And I was like, And I started doing my little Google search, doing all that stuff you do when you feel that something ain't right. You just go straight to Google, and that's what I did. I went to Google, and they were like, oh, maybe it's, your uterus is growing, so you're going to be cramping, stretching, and all this other stuff, so don't worry about it, and this and that. And so it kind of eased my fears. And what happened after that? Kind of eased my fears. I went to the hospital after that because it eased my fears, but I was like, I'm the type of person, like, I'm a hypochondriac. If something is wrong with me, I'm going to go check it out. Period. Point blank, period. If I feel that something ain't right, then I'm going to the doctors. So I went to the doctors, the emergency room, and they told me that I was miscarrying. So I was like, what? And mind you, I went by myself, and I sat in that room, in that emergency room, in the back. I finally went to the back for 2 hours, and the doctor just came in and was like, you're miscarrying. And I was like, okay. I didn't know what that meant. I knew what it meant, but I didn't want to believe it. And I was so hurt. I cried. I immediately called, my ex, and, he didn't answer the phone. He didn't answer the phone or anything like that. And it took me a while, to get in contact with him. And then he finally answered the phone, and I told him I was at the hospital, but I didn't tell him what was going on because I myself was in disbelief, and I didn't want to believe it at the moment. So they released me from the hospital. I went home. I rested, and then I started doing my Google search again. I forgot what I looked up, but I was oh, excuse me, I was on YouTube, and I came across like a video of women, different women talking about how they went to the doctors and they said that they were miscarrying. And Lord behold, a blessing happened that turns out they really weren't miscarrying, and the heartbeat either started back up again or something of that nature. So that gave me even more hope. I'm like, oh, I ain't miscarrying. I'm gonna have my baby, and I'm just gonna be happy. I'm just gonna care for him or her, and that's gonna be that. Oh my gosh. Literally the next day after that, my ex, he went off to work. He had an evening shift, so he went off to work, and same thing, cramping. I immediately felt cramping, and I was like, let me take a bath because this is hurting. Let me take a hot bath at that, which was the wrong thing to do. Because if you know anything about natural birth and stuff like that, that's one of the things that helps labor. It's, being in a warm bath. If you're doing naturally, a water birth, you get a warm bath. So that was one of the worst things I could have done, because I sat in that bath water for, I want to say 5 minutes or so before the pain became excruciating. Like it was so bad that I didn't stand up and walk out of the tub. I crawled out of the tub and just crawled on the floor wet, carpet wet, everything wet, and I just was screaming, crying, hold my stomach because it hurt so bad. It was hurting so bad. Oh my gosh, it hurt so bad. So I called him, let him know what was going on. I feel like I'm missing a part, because at one point he went to the hospital with me, and that's when he came to the hospital, and that's when they told us that I was miscarrying. Oh my gosh, how did that story go? I can't remember, but it was at one point where the doctor told us, it was a Chinese man, and he told us that the baby stopped growing. And I think I went to the hospital twice because I didn't believe it. So the second time I went, he came, because I was still having pains. And after that, when he told me that I was miscarrying, and my ex was right there at that moment, because the pain never stopped. So that was the next day. I went to the hospital again, and he came with me, and that's when the doctor told me I was miscarrying. So right then and there, that's when I believed it. I was like, okay, I'm miscarrying. All right. The day after that second time, that's when he went off to work and all that other stuff. I took the bath, was in excruciating pain. I called him, and I'm just like crying in the phone, crying, and just crying in the phone. And I just was like, the pain was so bad. I'm like, Lord, just take me now. Please just take me now. Like, I do not want to go through this. In that meantime, before I called him, I actually called my mom, and she asked me where was, my ex. I said he's at work, and he wasn't able to leave. They wouldn't let him leave, and I understand that. So my mom just, stepped in, and she was on her way while I was talking on the phone with my ex. So, and I'm just screaming, just help me, please. And he stayed on the phone that whole time. He had customers and everything passing by, and he stayed on the phone with me. And so I hung up the phone because I heard my mom was knocking on the door. So I told him that I had to go. My mom is here. And what else? Before I went to go answer the door, I crawled off my bed because I was laying on my bed at that point. I crawled off my bed and I just kneeled down and I just pushed. Like I had this urge to push. And when I pushed, oh my gosh. And after that, something came out of me. I didn't even look to see what it was. Something came out of me and I immediately felt relief. Like the pain just was gone, obsolete, just went away. And I didn't look on the floor. I didn't do any of that. I just, went to my mom. I went to open the door for my mom. And I came back in the room. And still, I didn't even want to look on the floor. I didn't want to know what was right there. I just did that. And I, you know, went on about my business. I laid on the bed. My mom, you know, she laid the towel down and stuff like that. And, you know, she laid the towel down and I laid on the bed. And whatever was on the floor, my mom was cleaning it up, just cleaning everything up, making sure I didn't see anything. She told me don't move yet and things like that. And what happened? I think I had to, oh no, that's later on. So she cleaned everything up. She made sure I was fine. She laid a towel on me, you know, and things like that. And I already, you know, had instructions on what to do, you know, when the miscarriage does happen. So I didn't go to the hospital after that. What else? So my mom, she stayed with me for a little while, made sure I was straight, and then she left. I went to go lay in the living room on the couch. I had to lay my towel and stuff down. And, you know, my ex, he got off work and he came home and I was laying on the couch. And, you know, I woke up. I was asleep actually when he got in, and I woke up to like a mess all over. I messed up my whole couch. Like everything went through the towel. So I had to clean all that up and change myself and just, you know, get myself together again. But that was actually one of, what, 3 miscarriages? 2 miscarriages I had? Something like that. And yeah, for women, my point is and why I wanted to tell the story, because some women, they get nervous and they get scared that when that keeps occurring that they can't have children. And I don't think that's the case at all. I truly feel that God will allow you to, you know, bear a child or children with the person that he wants you to bear one with. Does that person have to have it all and all this other stuff? And no. I feel that what God is doing is like showing you something. And whatever it is that he's showing you, it's up to you to understand what it is that he's trying to show you. Some women be like, the women that do have children, you know, and they be like, oh, my baby daddy this, my baby daddy that, he ain't shit, he ain't nothing, you know. But that's the man God blessed you with. He blessed you with that man to be able to bear children with that man for a reason, especially if you've had multiple miscarriages before that person. You get what I'm saying? So I look at that, you know, because I've had a miscarriage before, and clearly my ex, he wasn't the one for me. There was a reason why that happened. There was a reason why it happened. There was a reason why I had other miscarriages. It wasn't from him. It was from, you know, my son's father now. You know, I personally figured out why that was happening to me. Not only was it a medical reason, but it's also a spiritual reason that I feel in my soul why that happened. My son's father I wouldn't want no other, you know, father to be, you know, my son's father other than his dad. He's a great father to both of his children, and I just wouldn't want it any other way. And so I know why that happened the way it happened. And, you know, there were times where it wasn't the right time on why I miscarried the other times. And at that point, when I think back in my mind and I look, I'm like, it really wasn't a good time. Like, that's crazy how things happen. And I'm forever grateful. That's why my son, he is my joy. He is everything, because I lost children. I lost babies. And no matter if I never met, you know, my babies that I've lost, I still feel them. I feel them around me. I just know that they're there. They're protecting their brother. It's just, I get all choked up when I think about it, because it's like, there's no greater loss than losing a child, like, period. No greater loss. So, what else? So, ongoing to my first miscarriage, then I had a dream after I miscarried. I had a dream after I miscarried, and it was a very vivid dream. Very, 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 very vivid. So, I was in labor, and I was, maybe I was in an ambulance or I was in a hospital bed. I can't remember which one it was. But all I know is I was giving birth. I gave birth to a girl, a baby girl. I looked at her face, and as I'm thinking now, I can still picture her face. I still see how she looks. Everything. Like, if I could draw, I would draw her out. Like, her face. Oh my gosh, she was just the prettiest little being. Oh my gosh, she was so beautiful. And then that's when I handed her off to her dad, and which is my ex, and he was just looking at her. He was holding her. He wouldn't even let me hold her anymore after that. And it was just so vivid, like it felt so real. And I'm like, when I woke, I'm like, I'm just dreaming, you know. That was that, and maybe that's just a wishful thinking type of thing. Why I had that dream, and it was after I miscarried, and I was just missing my baby. So, years go by, maybe 2 years, 2 or 3 years go by, and I was in, I was in Walmart, just randomly grocery shopping, just minding my business as I'm always doing, and this lady came up to me, and she didn't necessarily come up to me directly, like, hey, hi, like that type of thing. She stood next to me for a while, and it looks like she was contemplating on whether she wanted to talk to me or not. So I said hello, hello, little nice smile. She said hello. She said, I can't help but to admire you, and I feel your, and I said, she said, I don't want to creep you out, but I feel your energy and stuff like that, and you have people watching over you. And I was like, oh, I know that, girl. I understand. I'm open-minded. I get what you're saying. So, I listened in, and I listened to what she was telling me. She was telling me 3 people were around me, and 2 of those people I actually never met before. And she mentioned them to me or something like that. Like, it was 2 family members that I actually never met before. And I actually brought it to my mom's attention when that happened. She was like, you never even met them. I was like, I know, that's pretty creepy, right? So she went on and talked about my family members, and there's the male family member that's watching over me, and always have, and always will. He's protected me. And then she went on and said, there is a little girl, a baby girl energy that's around you. And she was like, did you lose a child? And I was like, yeah, I did lose a child. And I said, it's funny that you mentioned that it's a baby girl, because after I miscarried, I had a very vivid dream of a baby girl. She said that was her, and I want you to know that was real. And she's okay. She's older now. It was weird. She was like, she's older now, and all this other stuff. So that really made me feel good that, I knew what I was dreaming about. I knew that it was real. It confirmed that what I was dreaming about was real, and she was there, and it was just beautiful. And that moment right there is when my healing actually started from it happening, because I used to have so much like resentment, like, against women who was able to bear children, mainly the ones that are on drugs and on hardcore drugs and stuff like that, and they're able to go 9 months, bear a child for 9 months, and they're smoking crack and heroin and stuff, and it's like, what in the world? I'm healthy. I don't do drugs or nothing like that. I didn't drink, smoke, or nothing. I was just healthy, was into the gym. So it was just like, wow, like I couldn't believe it, but I got over it. At that point, my healing began, and I began to get over it and just be grateful for life and that I'm here. And to this day, I'm forever grateful that I'm here. I'm blessed to be able to be chosen to wake, open my eyes the next morning and continue on with my day. But that really hit me really, 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 really bad, really bad, really bad. And as time went on, I don't want to say I became numb to it happening before, once again, other times, but I'm not numb to it because it still hurts, but I understand. I have an understanding of things now, a wide understanding of why things happen. And I get life. I get it. I get it. And I think about my babies every single day. Every single day. I pray to them. You know, I know they're around me. And, but yeah, I found out the medical reason is why I encourage people to get a genetic test done, because the medical reason on that side of it is that I have a MTHFR gene mutation, and it's on both sides. I got it from my mom and my dad, and everybody has a gene mutation. It's just whether or not you do something that triggers it. Basically, everybody has a gene mutation. But my gene mutation involves something on my X and Y chromosomes. And with those gene mutations, it causes miscarriages and stillbirths, infertility. It causes heart problems. Like, some people suffer from heart problems. Good thing mine's is not the bad version of it, but I did have the miscarriage symptom from it. So, and there's a host of other things with that gene mutation, and it's, you know, it is what it is. It's a part of me, and I'm still healthy. Like, my heart is healthy. You know, I went to go see a cardiologist because, of course, anybody would be like, what the fuck? My heart, you know, that's my ticker. So, it's like, I definitely went to go see a cardiologist, and I was very scared, very nervous, and, you know, but they said everything is okay. Mine's is not the bad version. It's not. I mean, I have my miscarriages, but I don't have the most severe version of it, which is a blessing. But for women who are just nervous that they can't have children, women who are having infertility problems, like, it's going to be okay. I'm here to tell you that trusting God is going to be okay. Trusting yourself and your ability as a woman, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay, and it's going to happen. And it may not happen in this life. If you are that believer that there are multiple lives you live, like I believe, you know, it may happen in the next life. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this video with, you know, God bless you all. Be safe. Be caring. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification button so you can get more videos of me talking and vlogging and things like that, being crazy with my family. And, you know, I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the love and support and, you know, people watching. And y'all be great. Peace.